it is. What's happening? Well, picking away at the Ford truck. So let's take a look at what we got done and what's going on through. And I'm kind of glad that I went ahead and pulled the front drums and checked the wheel bearings. You could tell there was water in there, but none of the bearings looked injured. They all look pretty good. So we're going to repack the bearings, put them in, clean the brake shoes up. Took the adjusters off. Now, as you can see, this truck does not have self-adjusters. But took these all apart, cleaned them all up, put some Never Sees on them, and got these to where they work. Went ahead and got these sitting the correct way, and everything tightened up. Some Loctite on these bolts. Cotter pins in. All this stuff was loose. Got it all tightened up, set up. I got to go meet a guy to have some U-bolts made because I just can't buy any. Everything I come up with is too long. So I'm going to have them custom made. I did take, the drums were all rusty on the inside. So you see there's got a little bit there, but they cleaned up pretty good. I don't want to cut too much off. They are about 100 years old. Took the exhaust off the truck, what's left of the exhaust. As you can see, this was not tight. There's like 900 clamps on it. So I'm going to fix that. And this was actually just clamped over top of what's left of this rusty pipe and all crimped down. So I'm going to cut that off and do something there and clean that up and fix it up. Just like any other old car project. Now that I've been underneath it, this thing doesn't have any cab mounts left, which we already knew it had some rust. So I'm going to have to do something with that. I can't let it go out of here without making something. The rear's ready to come out. It's just hanging there. I just got to literally unbolt one U-bolt and drop it on the floor. Emergency brake cables are no good. I'm going to remake the metal brake lines that go out to the wheels. So I'm moving right along. I am going to make some kind of cab mounts. There's literally nothing there. So I've got some box tubes, some 16 gauge. I'm going to make something up. I'll show you guys what I come up with. I got an idea rolling around in my head here. We're not restoring this truck by any means. We're just fixing this truck, making it safe. Yes, it's got some rust and looks kind of cruddy. I did put some more bolts. The bed only had a couple bolts holding it down. I did put some more bolts in there. I got the bed nice and tightened down. So this evening, I'm going to move a couple cars. The other rear is cut loose from the frame. It's hanging off the back of the wrecker. It's way out back on the other side of the property. So I'm going to roll that around this evening and get the rear ready to set in the truck. And move forward. I did machine the rear drums. I am going to put new brakes on it. The rear shoes are shot. I did have, somebody has put wheel cylinders in it, and they're in good shape, and they don't look to be very old, so we'll reuse those. Save a couple dollars. But tonight's project's going to be, since I'm waiting on grease seals for the front, so I can't pack the bearings and put them together, I'm going to go ahead and do the exhaust and bolt the new used rear in. Going to change the fluid in the rear and just roll with it. Hang on new brakes on it and just roll with the flow. So that's where I'm at with this project for today. Or this evening, I should say. I did, like I said earlier, I did went ahead and pulled the front hubs because after I found water in the rear, we already knew we had water in the trans, and more than likely that had water in it. Now somebody must have drained the motor and all because the motor sounds really good and the oil is clean as a whistle. So somebody has done that, but they must have just left the rest to go. We're moving right along. And I'll bring you along. I'll get there. I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to move these cars here, and I'll bring the wrecker in and get the rear ready to rock and roll. Sit tight. So I got the rear bolted in. As you can see on the U-bolts, the correct U-bolts this time. See how they're squared at the top? I also got the new used shock mounts on. Now, something I did on this, I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but when I lowered my night truck, the bracket, the axle flip bracket came with a different hole. So you actually move the rear back maybe an inch or so. So I did the same thing with this. I re-drilled the perch here, and I re-drilled the top plate. Because with the rear hanging, I could not get the dry shaft out. I had to pry it out. Actually, I had to loosen the rear up, shove it back to get the dry shaft out. So what I did was I re-drilled this perch and the top piece. As you can see, here's how much I moved it from the original hole. So in theory, that moves the rear back a little bit, so when the truck is lowered, it should be center in the wheelhouse. Because right now, the dry shaft is shoved as far in as it can, and it's up against the back of the trans, which is not right. So hopefully that'll correct it. If not, then I'll just put it back in the other holes. So now I got to do the rear brakes, and I've already cut the set of drums. Got new brake shoes. The wheel cylinders were like new, so reuse those. Emergency brake cables were no good on either rear. I'll put all the guts back in there, but we'll just have to hunt down some cables. That's something we can do later on. The main objective is to get this thing up and running, get it drivable, so we can get some tags on it. Gonna have to get the front U-bolts made. And that's where I'm at with it for this evening, and I'm calling it a night because I'm beat. It's 10 o'clock. It's good enough. Somebody stopped by, and you know, once somebody stops by in a shop, you know how that is. So look, holler at your boy. Keep it reals. And tomorrow, going to repack the front bearings, put seals in, put that back together, and then we'll move on to getting the rear brakes done. I got the dry shaft in it, but the U-bolts, I don't know what I did with them. The U-bolts were new. They were really nasty. The threads are really bad. So I have a set of U-bolts for the dry shaft out on the wrecker, out of the parts frame. So I'll use those, clean those up for tomorrow. Throw a little paint on the rear, and then I can throw the shocks on and done. So, holla at your boy. Keep it reals. Catch me on the next one.